Well, good morning to you all. Thanks for coming to join me as we move on in Hebrews chapter 11. On Sunday, we looked at Hebrews 11 from verses 17 to 19, and I want to just share some thoughts this week from those verses. Those verses in Hebrews are drawn from the account in Genesis 22 of Abraham sacrificing Isaac. And that's where our thoughts will go throughout the week. The big question was about the test, first of all. Both those accounts talk about God testing Abraham. I think testing is far more valuable than we realize, or perhaps we're beginning to realize how valuable it is. This week and last week, students have been receiving grades. But this year, because of the pandemic, they're not grades that have come to them because of exam results. Rather, some seemingly random algorithm has assigned grades based on people are not entirely sure what, and it's downgraded a significant percentage of them, especially from state schools, uh, leading to a sense of unfairness, and people got no comeback. They haven't taken a test, so they can't say it was badly marked. Well, we can know with God that his tests are fair. But the perhaps disconcerting thing is that he does test our faith. There's a pair of words that appear quite often together in in the New Testament relating to trials that we face and the testing or proving of it. And we'll see that in some New Testament references. But let's start with a reference from 2 Chronicles 32, perhaps not a chapter you visit very often, verse 31. It's a rather unnerving statement that says that Hezekiah was king and he received a visit from some Babylonian envoys. And the observation in that verse is that when these characters turned up, God left him to test him and to know what was in his heart. The test, I think, the nature of it was that Isaiah, his wise counselor, was not present at the time. If you look at all the accounts around that in 2 Chronicles and Isaiah, you'll see that Hezekiah received a lot of help from Isaiah directly, but he wasn't there on this occasion. So when the envoys turned up, Hezekiah was on his own, and it revealed a heart that was distracted by flattery and possibly greed, and he made a foolish alliance with the Babylonians. Well, in Abraham's case, the test revealed the strength of his faith. It showed that he did not withhold his son from God. It shows that he was willing to entrust God with the consequences of that obedience. And amazingly, from Hebrews, it says he'd even worked out that God could raise the dead. So that's what it did. And Peter, in his first letter, says that this is what happens. In chapter 1, verse 6, he talks about the tests that they were facing, the difficulty, the suffering that they were going through. And then in verse 7, says that actually this showed the proven genuineness of their faith. Sometimes that's translated, they passed the test. But it revealed how genuine their faith was and would result in praise and honor to God. Actually, that term, the proven genuineness, that word relates to metalwork, where metals are heated to prove them, to demonstrate what they are, to strengthen them. And that's, of course, the second part of what testing does. It does, in fact, make us stronger. We sometimes don't feel that at the time, especially with exams, but that's what it does. And they reveal the problems. They show us where we are needing correction, where we need improvement, and they allow us the opportunity to do that, to put these things right. And James, in his letter, produces the great statement about testing in chapter 1, verses 2 to 4. Let me read it. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance. Perseverance must finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. got the two terms alongside each other there. Trials of many kinds is the sort of the difficulties we face that test us, and the testing of your faith is that the proving of it to be genuine there. What's interesting actually is that the word that's translated trials is also translated temptation further down. There's no single word, there's no two words in Greek for testing and temptation. It's because in the end they can have that effect upon us. They could test our faith and they can tempt us to turn away. You might say God tests our faith, the devil will tempt us. God will test us to strengthen us, the devil will tempt us to weaken us. But in God's hands, is what James is saying, in God's hands, our trials strengthen us. And that's why he says you should count it pure joy. I know that's not easy. We don't say it glibly, but James says that's how we should look at it. And God proves us in our trials so that we might be stronger. Without them, we'll be weaker, less mature. Well, that's what he's aiming for, a mature faith. With them, we are stronger and mature. In fact, actually, with them, we're more blessed. Verse 12 in the same chapter says this: Blessed is the man who perseveres under trial, because when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love him. Those are two words alongside each other: trial and the proving of the faith to be genuine. And we are blessed. We receive the crown of life. So Abraham's faith was tested. Maybe that's the first example in the Bible of it happening, but it happens because God is wanting to make us stronger. It proved Abraham's strength, and it made him stronger too. And God will work that way in your life too. So whatever you face this week, maybe it's waiting for exam results and the concern that they have. But whatever you face, look upon it as it is from God, that he will be with you in it. He will guide you through it, and he is working through it to make you stronger and more mature. Well, may you know that helped today. And tomorrow I'll have to broadcast a bit earlier than usual. My timetable is such that I need to broadcast earlier, but of course, since it's on Facebook Live, it will be there waiting for you whenever you want to find it after that. So I'll see you tomorrow.